Okay, so if you haven't heard, there's a movie called The Platform, and it came out in 2019, and it's basically about how a bunch of prisoners check themselves into this vertical pit. And it's basically just one big jail where there is a platform of delicious food, and it starts at level one and it descends down all the way till it gets to the last level. There was some debate in the movie about how many levels there were. The lady thought there was 200, but it turned out there was more than 200. So there was a lot of lies wrapped all into this prison. It actually turned out that there was 333 levels, and if you multiply that by 2 because there was 2 prisoners, then that was the devil's number, which also equaled HE double hockey sticks. So that's a tidbit that some people speculate, and I just thought I'd share that because it was pretty interesting. So back to the pit. So we start off with our main character. I hope I don't pronounce his name wrong. Goreng? But we're just gonna call him G. So G is our main character. He is roomed with Trimagasi, and we're gonna call him T. And T is a pretty weird person because everyone is allowed to bring one thing. So G brought a book, and T brought a machete. So it's kind of like, why would you bring, like, why is that your one item? And go and question him. And he's like, well, when you need food, because if I'm on a low level and it's just me and my cellmate, then if it's out of the two of us, it's not going to be me, so it's going to have to be him. And that kind of freaked him out a bit. And Goreng found out soon enough that he was not joking. So as the plot become more apparent, we see that G does not like the idea that there are people above him who get food, and then there's people below him that may not get food. And you could see this like complex in his like personality because it's like going against his morals kind of. And I think what's also really interesting is that G was on level 48, which in the pit was not a bad level. Like, they still had some pretty decent choices on the platform, and you weren't too low, so you knew you were going to go to sleep starving. But still, you could see how G wanted to help others, and by any means necessary, he wanted to get that done, even if it meant, you know, going through a bunch of trial and error because nobody wanted to listen to him. If you're anything like T, the higher you got on the platform, the less you cared about others. And if you're anything like G, the higher you were on the platform, the more you wanted to help others because you knew that you weren't going to go to sleep starving, but you could help someone else. So let's bring this back into our real lives. If you are on a higher level, are you worried about the people below you? Or are you just worried about climbing the ladder and getting yourself to the top? Because a lot of people will just think about themselves. It's just me, 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 Like, nobody cares about other people. And the second you try to help other people, either I can understand how some people just aren't grateful and they are like, well, you're not even trying. But on the other hand, some people just genuinely cannot do it. And so that's why you need people both like T and G because it helps balance out the whole thing. So it's not a bad thing, but too much of anything, honestly, is a bad thing. Because, like, in the pit, most people were like G. They were worried about themselves, they were worried about surviving to the next day. They weren't exactly worried about the people below them because that's their problem. But G, on the other hand, was saying, I'm not gonna sit here and just think about myself. I'm gonna think about the people below me that haven't eaten in like the past week because they need it more than I do. And that is something I think we should all strive to do, and that I think we should all take a lesson from, because not everyone's like that. And I'm not saying you gotta be a 100% giver, but there should always be a give and a take in a relationship. And let's be honest, let's face it, we all have not been humble at one point in our lives. Whether it was winning that award at this award ceremony, or if it was, or climbing up on the ladder for a promotion. For me, I remember I was in middle school and oh my god, I was in middle school and we had just got our progress reports back. And as you know, I love getting A's. I'm a 4.0 GPA student. Like, I'm always trying to get good grades. And I remember receiving my report card and seeing a B. And I was like, oh my god. And so I literally screamed. Like, I didn't like scream, but like I was like, are you serious? In front of the whole class, and everybody was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I have a B. And when I tell you, everyone got so angry at me because they're like, Dajah, there were people in here who were failing and you're crying over a B. And it's like, I get that you're failing, but like, I don't care. And now when I look back at it, I'm kind of like, dang, I should have had more compassion for the people that were failing. But I can also see why I acted that way because I was always so hard on myself. So I've learned to just, be more mindful of like how I react to things and like how I help others because I may have gotten a B, but that's not the worst grade in the class. Someone may have a 55F and they're worried about what their parents might think. So you have to just be really aware of how you react to situations. And the thing is, society feeds into this idea that you have to be me, 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 me. You have to get the rewards, the recognition, the certificates, the promotion, the salary increase. You have to constantly be on your game to level up to the next bracket. And you can't be worried about other people below you. Because the thing about it is, most people want to be seen doing something good if you really think about it. People want to be seen helping others. But if you took away the camera or the fame or the money or the award or recognition, a lot of people wouldn't do it. And so I think it's always good, like, let's go back to G and just do it out of the kindness of your heart. Because honestly, I don't know where the kindness has gone anymore. Like, it's just not here. And we need to bring it back, please. People are just not willing to help others anymore, especially if it means that they don't get anything out of it. We have to be willing to, like, just give without looking for something in return, you know? And then another thing I want to touch on is narcissism because everyone loves throwing that word around. The next thing I want to talk about is the narcissism because a lot of people like to throw that word around. And the thing is, people will say narcissism is loud, but to me, it's really quiet because it shows in ways that you wouldn't even really expect. People who hoard opportunities, people who don't worry about the people behind them. It's just very like, I'm going to focus on me and only what benefits me and how can this benefit me, and they don't worry about anything else. They're just worried about them, but it's not in this flashy big way where it's like, look at me. It's more of, don't look at me. I'm not going to help you. Like, don't ask me for anything kind of thing. So here's another thing. When you're in a group and let's say you're the leader, you're the group leader. Do you lead to be admired so people can be like, oh my God, I aspire to be like her? Or do you lead in a way that's effective that can bring a team together and that can lead a team to the finish line? Because while the first one is good and it makes you feel good and it boosts your confidence, the other one is actually effective and actually brings people together. So, I challenge you to become an unseen leader this week. Here are some ways you can do this. You can write a praise note to a classmate, a colleague, a parent, a teacher, anyone. Just write a note and just say like you're doing a good job and let it be anonymous. Support someone's ideas. If you're talking to someone and they have an idea or they have, even some type of conflict in their life, just listen. And you don't always have to respond with an answer, but honestly, people love hearing themselves talk. So just listen. And that will make people feel seen, and it will actually become a thing where it's like people feel like you care about them, so they're more likely to come back and talk to you again and open up. And then last, do some favor or task or chore for someone without being told to do it. I feel like when you look at like love languages, a lot of people go directly to like physical touch or maybe even like quality time. Acts of service is really good and it makes people feel like you're seeing them. Like they didn't have to ask you to pick up like the papers on the desk. They didn't have to ask you to like clean the kitchen. Like you just did it because you saw that it was on their plate and you just wanted to take that load off. And honestly, you are helping them big time because now they don't feel stressed anymore. And also, they feel more connected to you because they're like, wow, this person really does care about me. This is a good way to like become a leader because you're doing tasks and you're doing skills that are going to help you in the long run. Because a lot of times when you're leading, at the beginning, people don't even know that you're the one leading. As you begin to do all these things and build credibility, it will be easier for people to not only recognize you as a leader, but to also see that you're a good person and that you're not just here to be a face, you're here to actually make change. So strive to be more like G and not T. So, the moral of the story, if you haven't gotten it by now, is to do things without credit. Do things out the kindness of your heart and do things because you want to help, not to hurt people. Comment down below this emoji to let me know that you watched to the end. Nobody asked, but don't be the leader that needs applause. Make a difference even if no one claps for you. Bye!